Hollywood has seen its fair share of complicated relationships, but few are as puzzling as the connection between Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak. On the surface, they look like close friends who simply never moved on from each other, but when you start looking closer, the story becomes much stranger. Mindy is raising 3 children and has never revealed who their father is. Meanwhile, BJ Novak is constantly around the kids, spending holidays with them, attending major family moments, and even going on trips like Disneyland. Yet, he has never publicly claimed to be their father. That is why fans online have been asking the same question for years. If they are not together, why do they act like a family? And if BJ is not the father, why is he so deeply involved in their lives? Rumors, speculation, and theories have been circulating for years, and the mystery only got bigger when BJ was recently linked to a much younger woman. Suddenly, the internet started asking another uncomfortable question. Has Mindy been waiting for someone who never planned to commit? To understand why this relationship has confused fans for nearly 2 decades, you have to go all the way back to where their story first began. Their story started in the early 2000s, on the set of the hit sitcom The Office. Mindy Kaling was a writer and actress on the show, playing the dramatic and hilarious Kelly Kapoor, while BJ Novak played Ryan Howard, the unpredictable love interest who constantly toyed with Kelly's emotions. On screen, their relationship was chaotic, emotional, and full of breakups and makeups. But what many fans did not realize at the time was that their chemistry was not just acting. Behind the scenes, Mindy and BJ had started dating in real life. Their relationship reportedly lasted from around 2004 to 2007, but even they later admitted it was never that simple. They were constantly breaking up and getting back together. One moment they were a couple, the next moment they were not speaking, and then, suddenly, they were close again. Years later, BJ described their relationship in a way that perfectly captured the chaos, saying they were never really dating and never really not dating. It was a connection that never seemed to follow normal rules. According to people who worked on the show, their emotional dynamic sometimes spilled into the writer's room, where they would argue passionately about everything from jokes to storylines, sometimes bringing the entire room to a standstill. At one point, producers reportedly pulled them aside because their relationship had become what BJ himself later called a tumultuous, romantic, toxic, boundaryless mess. But strangely, even when the romance ended, their connection never actually disappeared. And that is when the story started getting even more complicated.
One of the traditions we have, like I grew up with Santa and just loving that. And so one of the traditions we have is that my friend BJ Novak dresses up as Santa.
Oh my gosh.
And we create this whole thing where we're making hot chocolate in the house, the doorbell rings, and it's him dressed as Santa. And he's like, "Oh, the sleigh broke down. I need to come in and take a rest while we refuel." And then the kids get to meet Santa, and he asks them if they've been good or bad, and then he leaves, and they're so excited. But the 7-year-old, it's going to be interesting this year because I feel like she might not have it. The 4-year-old, we're
because
not
they
sure.
see him not, like I hope he's
They know
very
him
well
very
disguised.
well, yes. And he's good.
Most celebrity breakups follow a predictable pattern. The couple splits, they drift apart, and eventually they move on with their lives. But that did not happen with Mindy and BJ. Even after their relationship ended, they remained incredibly close. They continued working together, appearing at events together, and supporting each other's careers. In interviews, they often joked about how complicated their dynamic was, but they also made it clear that they could not seem to fully separate from each other. At one point, Mindy described BJ as someone who was not exactly her boyfriend, but not exactly just a friend either, calling the relationship romantically charged camaraderie with loud arguments. The emotional connection between them seemed undeniable. During one interview, BJ admitted that Mindy was one of the great loves of his life, yet in the same breath, he explained that they were not actually in a relationship. For many fans, that statement only made things more confusing. How can someone be the love of your life, but not your partner? But the real mystery began in 2017 when Mindy made an announcement that shocked everyone. In 2017, Mindy Kaling revealed that she was pregnant with her first child. The announcement surprised fans, partly because she had managed to keep the entire pregnancy extremely private. But the biggest surprise was that she refused to reveal who the father was. Mindy welcomed her daughter later that year, and while she openly spoke about becoming a mother, she kept the identity of the father completely secret. She later went on to have 2 more children, bringing the total to 3. Through all of it, the same question kept coming up. Who is the father? The internet immediately began speculating, and one name kept appearing again and again: BJ Novak. Part of the reason the theory gained traction was because of something Mindy confirmed publicly. She said that BJ was the godfather to her children and that he had a very close relationship with them. However, she also insisted that she was raising the kids as a single parent and would not discuss their paternity publicly. According to Mindy, the only people who deserved to hear that story first were her children themselves. But the secrecy only made fans more curious. And people started noticing details that seemed to make the mystery even deeper.
Is this the greatest situationship of our entire lifetime? Mindy Kaling got awarded with a star in Hollywood, and BJ Novak came to give a speech and honor her during this award. He gave this heartfelt speech, and she was just crying the whole time. And then as she's being awarded, he kisses her on the head. If you know anything about Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak, they dated at one point during The Office and have been longtime friends. And to my knowledge, neither one of them have ever married or publicly dated anybody else. But they've stayed super close. And I think we can assume they've had some sort of relationship and strong connection throughout all of these years. It's just it's sweet and heartwarming, but it's also you just want an explanation so bad. You just want to know, why didn't they just get married? But I do know Mindy Kaling, I've seen in other interviews her explain that she is the most dedicated, driven person that she knows. And it's possible that marriage just wasn't something she was interested in.
Over the years, fans have spotted countless moments that seem to suggest BJ Novak plays a bigger role in Mindy's family than just being a godfather. For example, Mindy once revealed that BJ has a tradition with her kids every Christmas where he dresses up as Santa Claus and surprises them at the door. The kids drink hot chocolate, listen to Santa talk about his broken sleigh, and celebrate together. On its own, that might sound like a sweet gesture from a close family friend, but there are many other moments that have made people raise their eyebrows. BJ has been photographed spending time with the children at Mindy's home, doing ordinary activities like cooking food and cleaning up in the kitchen. Fans have also spotted him attending major family events, including Mindy's Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony, where he delivered an emotional speech about her achievements.
Mindy, as I look around and see all these people from your life who have believed in you from the beginning, I'm just sorry that none of us doubted you, because I know how much more fun that would make this for you. But we couldn't help it. We always knew you'd be famous, but we had no idea how beautifully you'd handle the job. And so it's high time your name joined those of your heroes right here on Hollywood Boulevard. Not just names like Mary Tyler Moore and Lucille Ball, but names like H&M and Zara. I know how much all of it means to you. Congratulations, my soup snake. You'd be on the Walk of Talent if they had one. You'd be on the Walk of Friendship. You'd be on the Walk of Compassionate Parenthood. But let's face it, all of these would be terrible field trips. So here you are instead, very deservedly, a person who means so much to so many on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
During that speech, BJ praised her talent, her determination, and her dedication as a parent. And the moment was so heartfelt that Mindy became visibly emotional listening to him. Then there were stories about trips they took together, including rumors about a Disneyland visit where some people claimed one of the children called him dad.
When they went to Disneyland, Mindy's daughter was calling him dad. They did go together, and they're known as best friends, but not lovers, but also a situationship that's lasted over a decade. They show up to red carpet events together. And in the words of Mindy, she says, BJ broke her heart. This was back in 2015. She was reluctant to define their relationship, but she says, in quotes, my relationship with BJ Novak is weird. He's not my boyfriend, but he's not my best friend. I guess you could describe our relationship as romantically charged camaraderie with loud arguments. I think the one thing that's super interesting is BJ is known as the godfather, but this whole Disneyland trip, people obviously heard them and the children were literally just calling him dad.
These claims remain unverified, but stories like that have continued to fuel speculation among fans who believe there may be more to the story than either of them has revealed. For years, Mindy and BJ seemed inseparable, appearing together publicly and supporting each other constantly.
And that show, that would take up your whole life.
Yep.
No time for other projects.
No time for a social life. You had no choice but to form insanely complicated relationships with your co-stars.
That's right.
But recently, fans began noticing something unusual. Their social media interactions seemed to slow down, and some observers began speculating that the two might have had a falling out. According to rumors circulating online, a source claimed that Mindy may have initiated distance between them, possibly expecting BJ to reconnect afterward. However, the same story suggested that BJ responded differently, agreeing that space between them might actually be best. These claims have never been confirmed, but the timing caught people's attention, especially because another headline appeared around the same time involving a new woman in BJ's life.
He is a wonderful friend, and he's the godparent of both my kids, and he loves children, and they're so attached to him. He's really part of our family. But we've known each other for a long, long time, and I think anyone who's been friends with someone for 18, 19 years and at one point dated and now doesn't, they maybe understand this. I mean, you have exes that you wouldn't necessarily marry now, right?
I actually have finally finished with all my exes. I now know the book is closed on all of them.
Yeah.
And I think I've closed the book with a lot of them on this show.
In 2024, reports began linking BJ Novak to comedian and TikTok creator Delaney Rowe. The rumored relationship immediately sparked conversation online, partly because of the age difference between them, which quickly became a topic of discussion among fans. Suddenly, the narrative around BJ and Mindy seemed to shift. For years, people wondered whether they might secretly end up together, but now, BJ appeared to be moving forward with someone new. Interestingly, Delaney later spoke publicly about her dating life on a podcast, saying she was seeing someone but was not fully committed, suggesting the relationship might not be serious.
Hey, you worked with Mindy Kaling on that show, and she said on Howard Stern that you were her great love. Is there something you want to tell us about Mindy Kaling?
It's funny. This is what happens. I get so tongue-tied trying to explain.
Maybe this music will help you give it up. I should have that thing. I know.
Thanks for making it less awkward. The thing is, she is in many ways the great love of my life, and she's much closer to me than a friend, and yet we're not in a relationship, and so I usually take forever describing all the things that is and isn't. But then when I'm done, like sweating by trying to describe this complicated thing, usually the person I'm talking to says, "Oh yeah, I have something like that too." Like I feel like everyone has this these days.
BJ.
Yeah.
I have something like that too.
Right.
Don't worry.
Thank you.
It's all
You're
cool.
making the faces like it's
And
strange, but
he's got something like that
everybody's
too.
got someone. Everyone's got their Mindy Kaling.
Lady right there, she's got a Mindy Kaling.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it. So that's perfect.
So I'm very lucky to have
You're
the
very
actual Mindy
fortunate.
Kaling.
Even so, the news raised new questions for fans who had followed the Mindy and BJ saga for years. If BJ was building new relationships, what did that mean for the unusual bond he shared with Mindy, and why had the two of them never simply chosen to be together? Despite everything they have been through together, Mindy and BJ have never officially reunited as a couple. Over the years, both have hinted at possible reasons. Mindy has said that when she was younger, she dreamed of marriage and family life, but later realized she did not necessarily need a traditional relationship to feel fulfilled. BJ has often described their connection as something unique that does not fit into normal categories.
I am so proud to present Mindy Kaling with the Norman Lear Award. I met Mindy when we were both 25 and hired to write on what was then known as the ill-fated American version of The Office. The first thing I noticed about Mindy in that writer's room is that she cared so much about everything. And it went beyond the show. Her opinions were passionate and unstoppable, and she cared about all the issues of the day. We were in love with each other, and we were reckless idiots, and the two of us would argue about all of these things forever, grinding the writer's room to a halt until we got too upset and we'd go to our respective offices and slam the door, where we would continue arguing over AOL Instant Messenger. And when the producers realized that our relationship and co-writers had jumped every conceivable boundary and become a tumultuous, romantic, toxic, boundaryless mess, they pulled us aside and said, "Hey, you should have scenes together too. You guys are pretty funny together." Different times. There was no way out but through. We made it work or didn't make it work. We made it through. And our conversation.
They have known each other for nearly 2 decades. They have worked together, argued with each other, supported each other, and remained deeply involved in each other's lives even after their romance ended. For some people, that kind of connection might be impossible to define, and maybe that is exactly why their story has fascinated fans for so long. The relationship between Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak remains one of the most mysterious dynamics in Hollywood. They started as co-workers who fell in love while creating a beloved sitcom. Their romance ended, but their connection never truly faded. Today, they are still incredibly close. BJ remains part of Mindy's family life. Her children adore him, and the two continue to support each other publicly. Yet, the biggest questions surrounding their story remain unanswered. Is BJ Novak the father of Mindy's children? Are they secretly closer than they let the public see? Or are they simply two people who share a bond that does not fit into any traditional definition? For now, the truth remains private.
Hi, dude. I'm calling because I am dying to know what is going on with Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak. Do they have a falling out? Are they still in contact and friendly?
I've been asked this question like the past couple weeks in the Q&A. I think it has something to do with social media activity or lack thereof between Mindy and BJ. It's just like the fans noticing. So I reached out and I asked someone. They said they heard that they have had a falling out. I asked this person if they knew why, and they said no clue what it's about except that she apparently initiated it thinking that he would re-engage and apologize or make amends for whatever it was. And apparently, she was shocked when instead he was like, yeah, no, I agree. We need some distance, and this isn't a good thing anymore. To which I have to say, Mindy Kaling, you are better than this. I don't like this. I don't like the way he treats her.
You're hearing one small part of
Yes,
this.
but I hear a
of
lot
the
about
story.
BJ Novak. He's a little bit of like a playboy. To me, that signifies like how he treats women in general, whether that be a romantic interest or a friend, like Mindy.
Mindy has made it clear that if the story about her children's father is ever told, the first people to hear it will be her kids. Until that day comes, their unusual connection will likely remain one of Hollywood's most fascinating mysteries.